So, there's this new protocol that's kind of flying under the radar, but it's set to completely rewire the entire AI ecosystem. It's called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Now, on one hand, it promises to give AI agents these incredible new powers, but on the other, it opens up a Pandora's box of security risks that we're really just starting to get our heads around. So let's dive in and break down what this really means.
All right, so let's start with the core problem we're all trying to solve here. You can have the most advanced AI model on the planet, literally a brilliant brain in a jar that can write code or draft legal documents, but by itself, it's totally cut off from the world. It has no idea what the weather is today, it can't book you a flight, and it knows nothing about anything that's happened since its last training run.
And that right there is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we take this amazing, isolated mind and give it the eyes and hands it needs to actually get things done for us in the real world? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Tools. We give it tools, which are basically external programs that let it see and act. But connecting all these different tools to all these different AI models has been, up until now, a total nightmare. See, for every single new AI model and every single new tool, developers had to build a custom one-off connector. It's like, imagine if every single device you owned, your phone, your laptop, your toaster, needed a completely different custom-made adapter for every single power outlet. It would be total chaos, right? It's just a brittle, inefficient system that brings innovation to a crawl. And this slide, wow, it just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way, that tangled spaghetti mess of custom connections where the complexity just explodes as you add more things. But on the right, you see the vision for MCP, a clean, simple, universal standard that creates a scalable plug-and-play world. That's the integration nightmare it's designed to fix. So that's the problem, and this is the solution. The Model Context Protocol, a universal standard for AI tools. So, MCP, which just came out in 2024, is basically an open standard that acts as a universal language. It lets any AI agent talk to any tool from any provider. It creates this clean communication layer that completely separates the AI's brain from the specific tools it happens to be using. Okay, if that's still a little bit fuzzy, here is the absolute best way to think about it. MCP is basically the USB port for artificial intelligence. I mean, remember before USB, every single device, your printer, your keyboard, your mouse, had its own weird, clunky, unique plug. It was a mess. Then USB came along and created one standard that just works for everything. That's exactly what MCP is trying to do for AI tools. All right, so if MCP is the USB for AI, what does that future actually look like? Well, this is where things get really, really exciting. We're talking about the promise of a true plug-and-play AI ecosystem. I mean, the advantages here are just massive. First, development gets way faster because you're not wasting time building custom connectors anymore. That helps build this incredible plug-and-play marketplace of tools that anyone can use. But maybe the biggest deal of all is dynamic tool discovery. Think about that for a second. An AI agent can literally discover and start using a brand new tool it's never seen before, all on its own, in real time. That's a game changer. Okay, now this is really interesting. Check out this data. The MCP standard actually defines a few different capabilities, but the numbers show that the community has clearly voted. Tools have a whopping 99% adoption. Everything else is way, way behind. And that tells us that connecting agents to actions is the absolute core value here, which also means it's where all the danger is hiding. And that brings us to the other side of the coin, the dark side. Because the very same openness and flexibility that make MCP so powerful also create an entirely new attack surface with brand new security threats. You know, we're not just talking about old viruses with a new name. These are fundamentally new kinds of attacks. Things like dynamic capability injection, where an attacker can swap in a malicious tool while the agent is running. But for now, let's focus on two of the biggest threats, something called tool shadowing and the classic confused deputy problem. So what exactly is tool shadowing? Well, here's the tricky part. An AI agent doesn't pick a tool based on its name. It picks it based on the description of what it does. Tool shadowing is when an attacker creates a malicious tool, but writes a description that's so convincing and sounds so useful that it tricks the AI into picking the bad tool instead of the good one. Let me paint a picture for you. You tell your AI assistant, hey, save this highly sensitive company password to our secure vault. The AI looks at its available tools. It sees the official Secure Vault tool, but it also sees this other tool whose description says it's a universal secure storage helper. The AI, thinking it's being helpful, picks the malicious one. And just like that, your company's secrets are now on an attacker's server.
Okay, so that's scary. But the good news is we're not defenseless here. There are absolutely ways to fight this. First and foremost, you need a strict allow list. Only pre-approved, trusted tools are allowed to run, period. You can also use smart checks to flag tools that have confusingly similar descriptions. And for anything really sensitive or high risk, you absolutely have to have a human in the loop to give the final okay.
All right, next up is a vulnerability that's actually been around forever in cybersecurity, but it's found a terrifying new life in the world of AI. It's called the confused deputy problem. Here's how it works. You have the MCP server, which is the deputy. It has a lot of power and high-level permissions. Then you have the AI agent, which has fewer permissions but can be easily tricked or confused into giving the powerful deputy a dangerous order. Okay, let's break down how this attack actually goes down step by step. First, an attacker who has very low permissions gives the AI a cleverly disguised, malicious prompt. Second, the AI doesn't know any better, so it just relays that request as a legitimate command to the MCP server. And third, this is the scary part, the MCP server, which has high-level privileges, executes the command, completely bypassing the fact that the original user never had the authority to do it in the first place. So, after seeing all these risks, we land on the most critical question for any company, any developer, anyone looking to use this technology. How do you take this incredible protocol and actually make it safe enough for the enterprise?
And honestly, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. MCP is a fantastic standard for getting things to talk to each other. It is not a security framework. Think of it like this. MCP gives you the concrete foundation for a house, but you still have to build the secure walls, install the locks on the doors, and set up the alarm system yourself. Because as it stands today, right out of the box, the core protocol has some major gaps. It doesn't have a built-in way to handle who you are or what you're allowed to do, no robust authentication or authorization. It gets confused about who's taking an action, the user or the agent, and it's basically a black box. There's no native logging or monitoring, which makes spotting an attack almost impossible. And this quote from the source material we're looking at, it just hits the nail on the head. The version of MCP that businesses will actually use won't be this pure open protocol. It's going to be a version that's wrapped in layers of security and governance, likely provided by things like enterprise-grade API gateways that add all the protections the protocol is missing.
And that's where we land. We're left with this one big critical question. The Model Context Protocol is happening. It's here, and it's unlocking a whole new universe of what AI can do. The real question isn't if your organization is going to adopt this. It's coming. The question is how you're going to secure it. Is your security architecture ready for this new universe? Thanks for joining this explainer.